Hello and welcome to New Earth Lifestyles. Halloween. I have my Halloween mask here for you to peruse during the show today. October 30th. So tomorrow is Halloween, October 31st, 2014. Thank you for joining us on this lovely, lovely day in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And to remind us to breathe, I have my trusty singing bowl, my 7 metals Tibetan singing bowl. Breathing is so important for all of us. It's a natural way of being and a natural tool that our body has, that you have, to help yourself to heal every minute of every day if you only take the time to consciously stop and breathe. Breathing in and breathing out, because every cell in our body needs oxygen. Every chemical reaction in our body needs oxygen. And so that's why we need to breathe. So thank you for joining us today. And I have my mask that I wore at my brother's costume birthday party last Saturday night. This is a mask given to me or donated to me by my friend Robina Darcy Fox of Fancy Felix in White River Junction, Vermont. She made this costume, the whole costume. There's a big elaborate costume that goes with this. But I was the Frost Fairy last Saturday in the spirit of Halloween and the spirit of my brother's 60th birthday party. And I was going to wear this for you today, but it did look a little intimidating and scary when you see it on a human face. And it was kind of that way when I was wearing it at the party because there were children there. So anyway, Robina is an amazingly talented costume designer and costume maker in White River Junction, Vermont. As I say, her company is Fancy Felix. She is actually closing the doors of that as we speak. And she's moving into other dimensions and other lifestyles. But she's been making Renaissance costumes for opera for 20-something years, at least 20 years, and she is an amazingly gifted designer. So, Halloween, the time when the veils are the thinnest, that they say, and the time Saturday, All Souls Day, which is actually time to really celebrate our deceased loved ones and those who are now on the other side, as they say, now in the ethers or in the spiritual realms. And my guest today, I have my friend Rosalene Bussiere from Many Words Herbs in Berlin, Vermont. So welcome, Rosalene. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
It's great to have you. And so, Many Words Herbs, I have visited your location, your healing space in Berlin, Vermont. And it's a beautiful space, and you have just walls of herbs in jars and put in smaller tincture bottles and bags and so forth that you've been collecting, or you've been that you prescribe to people, I guess, for different things going on.
I do. I have many different things, many different supplementations, many plant healers. I call them healers because that's what plants do. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to sell to people unless I talk to them directly and we figure out what's going on, and I do a little kinesiology on them and ask permission for their body to accept these herbs, and things are working out really well. I'm really enjoying, working in service with people and having this the shop, this location.
Great. And I know you were on the show a couple months ago, was it?
Yes.
The first time you were on, and so maybe you can just review for us what or who you are and how you came to be Many Words Herbs.
Well, my name is Rosalene, and I'm an herbalist. I was very ill at one point in my life, and I sought out lots of medical support and help, and was told that they didn't have any idea what was wrong with me, and then was told, oh, you have lupus and you have an autoimmune condition. And I fell into the lap of a beautiful herbalist who taught me and helped me grow to become who I am and certified me. And in the process, I learned to heal myself. I also work with the Native Americans in upstate New York from time to time. I'd like to do more with them. I haven't had the opportunity since I started the business. And I consider myself a woman who kind of talks too much sometimes once you get to know me. So I wanted to name my business for a woman who talks too much. So that's how Many Words Herbs came in.
I see.
I kind of felt like herbs have a lot of healing and a lot of words to say. You have a lot to say, and I have a lot to say. So that's how Many Words Herbs came into being. And I left my my job that I had had for many years and my career and opened up the business. And
let's go on to that. Leaving the job.
Yeah.
Imagine that, dropping out of your job, leaving your job behind, and opening an herbal business, helping people heal as of service to others.
Right.
Wow.
Paying it forward.
Paying it forward. Absolutely. That's where we are these days. Pay it forward in whatever way that means for you, not necessarily monetarily, but service-wise, or give it forward or move it to the next place. Someone gives something to you, pay it forward. Great. So this is fascinating that what kind of a job did you have?
I worked in accounting for over 20 years.
Oh, that's right. The same as me. Accounting for over 20 years.
I was ball and chained to a desk for many years.
That gets really heavy after a while. Ball and chain to the accounting desk.
It's very stressful life. It is very stressful.
Right,
yes.
and you're much more relaxed now because you're in your realm of doing what Spirit or God or Creator kind of directed you to do through your health, through your body.
Right. I was gifted with the blessing of being sick. And
Gifted.
some people think, this is not a gift to be chronically in pain and to chronically not being able to support yourself and just be a person. But I kind of looked at it like a gift. It was a gift because I learned that there were many factors going on. It was environmental, it was spiritual, it was my eating, it was biological. And so I grew from that and I healed from that and it changed my life into a different path. And so I want to give it forward to other people to spiritually grow and to physically grow. And so that's my service, is to other people.
Right, because you've been there.
Right.
Now, at what point did you feel it became a service?
When the healing started to begin, I was actually in my training for my certification as an herbalist. And every time I would start to accomplish something with my health, something new would arise. There's always, we're very compounded. Our health sometimes becomes very layered. And so I would, be able to heal something that was going on internally, and then something new would spring forward, and I was able to heal that, and something new sprang forward. And as I kept going, I kept getting healthier and healthier, and then I realized one day, this is really a gift because it's changing who I am and what I'm thinking, and I'm connecting my mind to my heart, and my heart to my mind, and I'm really living I'm living more spiritually, because when you're in pain, you don't think about your spiritual self. You think about you're angry and you're stuck in this heavy, dense, sick body, and everything is sick and all your relationships are sick. And so I realized that, this is a gift. I don't want sickness in my life. I don't want to have sick relationships anymore. And so it really changed my life profoundly. So.
Wow, that's great. That's fabulous. And so your life has become illness somehow turned around to become a gift for you to see that there's more to life than what you were living.
Right.
And I know I feel the same way about what happened to me, and I've talked about it on the show before, so I'm not going to go into it right now, but it was very painful emotionally for me to go through. Plus I had physical stuff going on at different points in my life too, but I know that once I saw the beauty and the truth of where I was and where I had come to, then I could look back and say, wow, that was a huge gift that those people that I thought hurt me really didn't. They gave me a gift. Yes, such a huge teaching.
Right.
And so if we can all look at life that way, and you can't, it's hard to do, like you said, when you're really in the muck of it, when you're really in this place of struggle and pain and medications and professional help. When you're really in it, it's really hard to see the gift in it. But if you can find that kernel, or find that some little inkling of that of a gift, it can help you to begin to shift that pattern. And I know you you had a lot of weight on your body back then too.
I did. I went from 210 pounds, and now I'm 142.
Wow, 210
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
142.
Right. And
Woo!
I was...
Let's gong to that. Wow, that's a
it's
lot of weight to
going.
lose. 210 to 142. There's hope for us.
Right.
There is hope sitting right here.
Right.
In the flesh. Rosalene, you can show us the way. How can we do this? And you
Yes.
did it through your herbs and your eating and finding the gift in it all and service. And how else can you talk
Well, I
about
think
that?
you have to, when you're in the trenches of pain and you're going through the system of, doing whatever workman comp says you have to do, or whatever the allopathic medications and medicinals say that you have to do, you're really like, you're looking for someone else to heal you. You're not looking for self-healing. You're really asking someone else to do the work for you. And when you can come to a place where you realize that you have to do the work yourself, you're sick because it's something internally going on. There's something, whether it's physical and biological and spiritual. And if you can find that little inner light or someone that can guide you in that direction, that's when the healing starts to happen, because you have to look up from the darkness and go, I can do this. There's light out there. There's hope. And once you find that hope, everything just comes into play.
So when you were 210 pounds, what was the spark that started you on that path to becoming 142 pounds? Because that seems to be the hard place, is really grasping and hanging on to the drive or the ability or whatever, stay with this because it's going to work. How did that work for you?
Well, for me, it was really a life or death situation.
Really?
I was in a situation where there were days where I couldn't even care for myself. I couldn't even, I really physically needed someone to literally help me to the bathroom and help me get off the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I was 40 years old at the time. And I said, well, I'm 40 and I have no one. And who's going to help me? My husband's gone for many hours of the day and I'm alone and I have no one. And so who's going to do this? And I had to make a decision. Do I want to continue living my life unpredictably? I have good days. Yeah, I have bad days. But when those bad days coming, what if these bad days never go? Mm-hmm. And so there was a time where I contemplated taking my own life because I could not imagine living in that fear of not being able to self-care or having who's going to care for me. Mm-hmm. And so that's when things just kind of fell into the universe, and I met this woman at an herbalist shop. I stopped in and I said, you know what, I've always loved being in the woods. I've always loved identifying plants. I think I need to get back to the basics and really try a different modality. I need to try to find something holistic because this is not working for me anymore. And so that was my hope of inspiration, is walking into an herbalist shop and having someone look at me and say, you're not doomed. There are things that you can do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So follow your intuition for that first step. You followed your intuition into that herbalist shop.
Right.
And there it was, the answer for you that has been a thread that's continued that you're now doing professionally.
Right.
So you never listen to your intuition. It is so powerful when you get that information that comes through, and if you act on it right in that moment. Mm-hmm. Amazing things can happen. This is so wonderful.
Right. I mean, I was at my desperation point of life is just not working anymore for me. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of clients that come in my door that's the way that they are. And I'm seeing huge improvements from them 30 days later. And it's amazing the improvements that I see. And, I fear, are they going to be afraid to continue on down this path, because that's a personal journey we all have to make. I think one of the things that I've learned is that now I'm completely pain-free.
Wow.
I've had rheumatoid arthritis since I was 5, and up until 6 months ago, I had rheumatoid arthritis, and that was the last thing that I had to heal, and now I'm completely free of it.
Yay!
So
free of rheumatoid arthritis?
Right.
Wow.
So
that's great.
A part of me was like, I have lived in pain my whole entire life. Where did it go? Can I bring it back? Why am I thinking that? And so I talked to a shaman, and he said, well, people live with pain for so long. It's a big part of who they are. And
Right.
to release that is a fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, that's just silly. Why would I want to be in fear of losing my pain? This is awesome. I don't have pain. I mean, yes, I do have it if I eat something incorrectly for my body type, so I have to be very self-aware of what I'm doing. And I have to keep myself in a good spiritual space as much as I possibly can.
Right.
But it's all about self-love and self-care. And when you fall out of love with yourself and who you are spiritually, that's when the pain comes back.
Interesting.
That's when you start eating all these, foods that are going to cause you harm, but yet you don't care. It doesn't matter.
Because you're falling down in your self-care and self-love for yourself. So what kind of foods support you and keep the rheumatoid arthritis at bay or away from you, keep you pain-free?
I have actually started working with a lab that tests the DNA in your hair, and so I got the results back, and I thought I was eating very well for myself because I had come a really long way. I'm now 45, so I've had 5 years of healing, and I thought, I'm doing really well. I'm eating salads every day, and I got rid of the dairy, and yes, I'm still eating some of the carbs and the bread, but I'm doing better. And then when I got my test back, it said, well, you're allergic to, or not allergic, but you're intolerant to coconut milk and to almond milk, and you're intolerant to all forms of lettuce, and you're intolerant to certain types of nuts, and you're intolerant to certain types of vegetables and certain types of different things. And so I was like, oh my, this is a little overwhelming.
Because that's what you've been eating.
Because that's what here I am thinking, salad's good for you, but everybody's body is unique and different. And so even if we do eat healthy foods, it doesn't mean that our body can tolerate those foods. And it doesn't mean that our body has the correct enzymes to tolerate those foods. And so I always tell my clients, don't do as I do, do as I say, because I just immediately took out everything that was on my list. And so for other people, I say, do 2 or 3 things every couple of weeks because you don't want to stress out that body. And when I got it, the test back, I was like, I went into panic mode, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to ever eat again? And then I said, wait a minute, Rosalene, turn this down. Okay, so let's think about this. What can I eat? And I found, amazingly enough, even though I got rid of all the wheats and the grains and the dairies and some of the vegetables and stuff, there was an amazing amount of foods that I could eat.
So what do you eat?
A lot. And so when I got rid of those, after 2 weeks of eliminating these foods out of my diet, my arthritis went away.
Really?
It totally went away, yeah. And so what you do is you take the foods out and then see if your body builds the right enzymes to digest them. And then you slowly reintroduce them. And if your body gives you a signal of some sort, like, I don't really feel very good, or for me it was immediate hip pain, or I get shooting pain in my spinal cord. And so that's an indicator that I really should probably leave those out for the rest of my life, that my body is just not liking that particular food.
And what is one of those that you have to leave out for the rest of your life?
Oh my goodness, coffee is a big one. I had to get out coffee. I have a sensitivity to ascorbic acid and citric acid, which are used in packaging, and that's in everything.
Yeah,
everything.
And you do. If you look at the contents of anything, it's got ascorbic acid in it.
Yeah.
Or what's the other one?
Citric acid.
Citric acid, yeah.
Malic acid.
So you're allergic to those? Or
canola oil is another one. So I have to look at. So I made this little card, and I carry it around, and I pull it out, and when I go grocery shopping, it's just a gentle reminder that don't buy anything with this stuff. So I spend forever looking at the ingredients list. Not all of my clients test positive for those particular things. Everybody is unique.
Right. So
different.
just because you have not someone else might have rheumatoid arthritis, you may be different intolerances that are causing it in your body.
Absolutely.
As opposed to what's causing it in your body. So that's the thing that that science or that the medical model kind of misses is when they take an illness like rheumatoid arthritis, and they think that everyone that has rheumatoid arthritis needs to do the same thing, and it's not cookie cutter.
Right.
It's totally unique. Each person has something that's causing the rheumatoid arthritis or the inflammation in your body, that is maybe different than the next person that has the same inflammation. It's just your body is not absorbing or tolerating something different than the other person, but the effect of it in your out on the outside is the same.
That is absolutely correct. I've actually been studying about this, and they have generic medications that are specific for a population of people. And so, like, say they give you Celebrex, and so how many other people go on Celebrex for the same symptoms? But their body is so unique that they might not respond to that medication in the same way. It might not be appropriate for their body. Mm-hmm. So, you're given whatever is available on the market that's for the masses. It's not specific for your body type. The thing I like about the intolerance testing that I do in my office is that it totally gives you your DNA. This is your DNA. This is who you are. This is what you're conditioned to eat. This is what you're not conditioned to eat. And so when you eat these foods that are not good for your particular body type, it creates inflammation. And the big thing that I see in my practice is inflammation. People are coming in and saying, the doctors all say we got to get this inflammation down. How? We don't know. How do we treat you? I don't know. I know how to give you a label and say, yes, you have lupus, or yes, you have rheumatoid arthritis or osteoporosis. I know how to, this is the symptoms and this is what we're saying you have. But how do you get that inflammation? We don't know. We'll give you a medication that will hopefully take your inflammation down, but it may or it may not.
Right.
But when you take these things out of your diet, it de-escalates the body and reduces the inflammation. And the reason why you have inflammation is because you're putting things in your body that is foreign to your body, that your body just cannot assimilate, cannot digest, and just like goes into hyperstate and panics and says, what do I do with this? I don't know what to do with this food you just put in me. This is something.
So it's sort of like your body doesn't recognize it as food.
Right.
For some reason, because your chemistry just isn't working. Or it just, that's an imbalance, the type of balance that your particular chemistry in your body has. And when you introduce a certain food to it, your body may reject it. It may be rejecting it because you've been eating it so long that it's just tired of saying, I don't know what it is. So it finally just inflames. It just has the inflammation effect.
And that's where different diseases come into play, because you're right, after a certain period of time, so you've been eating a certain food all your entire life, and it's a big part of your diet. And so you get to a point and your body just says, enough already. I've had it. And so the next thing you know, you might have a disease or a condition. And so, which is a little bit more elaborated than just inflammation. It all starts with inflammation. We start with the inflammation and then it just escalates from there.
So inflammation is swelling inside your body.
That's right.
It's your cells in your body are reacting to something. They need to get rid of it, and so histamine, is it, that goes into the cell and tries to push it out or something? Do you know that mechanism?
I don't know that particular mechanism.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to also talk to you about is what is one of the first things, like if I were to come to you, I know I did come to you actually a couple of months ago, and I got some really good herbs and stuff, and I'm feeling it was very beneficial to take the two things out of my diet, which is cheese and coffee. I took those out of my diet for a long period of time, and then I've slowly put them back in, but I need to take them out again, I think. But anyway, when a person comes to you, I thought maybe could you explain what's the first step that you do when someone says they're coming to you for whatever, something that the doctor said, I don't know what to do other than give you these meds.
Right. Well, what I usually do is I actually become a therapist in some ways because I listen to everybody's story. We go through an extensive 5-page list of questionnaires about your past health, and then I get the whole family history because people have a lot to say, and then I learn a lot from what I'm hearing from them. People give me trigger signals of this is the way I've lived in the past, and this is the way my family's lived in the past, so it's been taught, and so it gives me a lot of great information. And then at the end of the questionnaire, I get a really great idea of what internally is going on with you. Is there compromised organs? Is it parasitics? Does your stomach need to be rebalanced? What is your immediate need at this particular time? Because remember I said we are compounded. And so we have to figure out what is crying out for the most help for you at that time. And so then I do what's kinesiology, And I read your body to see what your body language is saying. Is it asking or giving me permission to introduce a particular substance or supplementation into your body? I've actually really started working with people, teaching them how to read their own body language, because most of my clients that come in are so physically weak that I cannot read their bodies a lot of times. And so it's just become a lot easier for me to like teach people how to read their own bodies. And it's amazing. Some people pick it up. They're so intuitive. They're so in tune with their bodies. And some people, it takes a little bit of time, but the majority of the people pick it up really fast. And while I'm teaching them how to do this, I watch their body language and I listen to what they say. And so we always pick like 3 or 4 things that they have to use for supplementations, because the first thing we want to do is they're so weak, we want to feed them first. Feeding is really important. I mean, part of also being intolerant is we have a lot of deficiencies. We're a very nutrient-starved nation of people, and people are very weak, and their bodies are really having a hard time adapting.
Now, how can we be nutrient-starved when we eat so much?
Because our food is dead. I mean, a lot of our food is dead. I mean, I really hate to say that, but it's so true. People are eating high-carb diets. There's no nutrients in high-carb diets. People are eating, fast food stuff because they're always on the run. There's no nutrients. All those things they take away from your body. They just rob your body of nutrients and minerals. Most people are very mineral starved because they don't do anything to bring their mineral levels up. They don't know how to bring their mineral levels up.
So how would we know? I mean, we're running around going to McDonald's or Burger King or, grabbing a sandwich at the convenience store or something like that, and so all those foods you're saying are mineral deficient, and they're not healthy for us. And what could we do instead?
Well, that's when you have me as a reminder to one of the things I tell people is that when you eat food, you think of it this way: what is it giving to me? What is it taking away from me? And just really keep that mindset. The human body has to have 80 different minerals and nutrients every single day to be complete. And so, when I did my intolerance test, I was very deficient, like bottom line deficient in 9 different nutrients. And I was pretty proud of myself because it was only 9, and I've seen people with a lot less than me. And I'm like, oh, well, that's because I had autoimmune disease. It's okay. But, really think about it. I mean, most high carb, fast foods, they deplete that body. They take away from the body. And then you get the body going, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? This isn't real food. And so that's where the inflammation also comes into play as well.
So why does the body say it isn't real food?
Well, I mean, genetically, we were made to eat plants. I mean, if you think about the evolution of man, think about it, we're hunters, we're gatherers, we're not fast food chemical eaters. We're just not.
Okay, then. Yeah, we're meant to eat plants, and that's what you help us with.
Right. So I remind people that if you look how low your energy levels are. In order to bring your energy levels up, you have to eat the vibration of high vibrational foods. You're eating low vibrational foods. This is why you're sick. Your energy levels are very low. And so, and then when they do the kinesiology piece, then they realize, the energy vibrations of how did my body just feel. When I put that in my hand, I felt like I was going to fall right into it, like my mouth wanted to go right over it. I just want it in me.
So that's kind of kinesiology. Can you do some little demonstration like that? Seems like what you just did, a little kinesiology of how the body language works with kinesiology.
So what I do with people, and people can do this at home, it's a really great way to do this, is I have people close their eyes, they stand still, they close their eyes, they put your hand out like this, and I put a supplement in their hand. And
okay,
they bring it, and they could put...
Pretend this is a supplement.
Okay, so this is some type of food or a supplement. And so you put it in your hand, and you bring it right to your heart.
Okay.
Because we want to listen to our heart. Our heart has a lot more to say than our brain does. And we disconnect from our heart. So you want to bring it to your heart.
You want to connect to your heart.
And when you're standing there, just really slow yourself down and just really breathe and just feel. And what do you feel? Do you feel your heart going faster? Do you feel your heart going at a good pace? Is it slowing down? Do you feel like your body wants to fall into this food? Like, oh, if you put it inside of me, I will feel so much better. Or do you feel like your body is like pushing away and, oh, just get it away from my body? How do you feel? And people really pick that up. And I have little tests where, like, I might put a cigarette in their hand, and some people say, I don't feel nothing, you know. And I say that's okay. We're learning. We're learning how to read your body. This is what you're feeling at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that they work with it, the more they really are clear about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, I just felt like, oh, I'm going to fall right into it. It's like your body is really telling you, you need this.
Right. And you can probably do that in a grocery store then, right?
You can do that in the grocery store. You open up your cabinets, you look at it. I mean, it's a no-brainer when you see food that you know it has no nutrients in it.
Uh-huh.
But if you want to test how your body responds, and, you know, interestingly enough, I give people also the options of doing the intolerance test as well, because that's a really great way to cut through all the chatter, and just find out what we need to do and get right down to business. And then I work with the supplementations from there. But most people that do end up doing the intolerance test, I've already got them on the right path, and they've already put themselves on the right path by listening to their own bodies.
I see.
So, and I love that confirmation that, hey, you know, this says you're nutrient deficient and things that are specific for the heart. And here we are taking all these supplements we know that's going to feed that heart muscle, you know. So.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's great. So another subject that we were speaking of on the way down, because we kind of carpooled from my neck of the woods, and that is Fukushima. I know that's... if we all recall, it was a disaster was a tsunami that happened, how many years ago? 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 2.
About 2 years ago in Japan, and the nuclear power plant was destroyed or damaged terribly, and from what we understand, it is still leaking radioactive waste. Mm-hmm. There's a river that flows right under that plant from Japan. It goes under there and takes the water out to sea. And we were talking about sea vegetables, which is seaweed. And we've always thought that seaweed, we always have used seaweed in that natural health field as an amazingly vibrant and mineral-rich food to add to anything, add to your soups, add to your diet, add to whatever. But you have come to an understanding about that maybe that's something that we should not be doing now with the current situation in the seaweed around the world.
Right.
So maybe you could speak to that a little bit for us.
Well, when Fukushima first happened, I was very intrigued. I mean, I did not live in an era where we had, you know, a nuclear release into the environment of that magnitude. And so I got really, concerned about, what's going to happen to our environment and, what's going to happen to the ocean life and how are they going to get this under control and, just really interested in how it's going to affect human life. And so I kind of did a little bit of research and I learned a little bit about Chernobyl and what it did to Russia and how it really, so many people got so ill and everything and what it did to the surrounding neighborhoods and the plant life. And so the further I got into my research, I learned that the sea vegetables and anything in the ocean and the marine life were going to be affected by Fukushima. And also, what was going on in that immediate town was very interesting to me. And so I started learning that, they were making predictions saying that the radiation was going to come to the United States within a 2-year period, and that the best thing to do would be to take iodine, and that iodine was very specific for the thyroids. And I actually am seeing a huge number of people with thyroidal issues. And
Are you talking about Chernobyl? Or Fukushima?
Fukushima and, both. I mean, I'm comparing Fukushima to Chernobyl, but both have the same effects. But Fukushima is like 100 times worse than Chernobyl.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because Fukushima is still releasing into the atmosphere. They have not got it under control. And so with Chernobyl, what they did was they buried it in concrete.
Oh, I see.
So they had it, they got it under control. And so the release of radiation that went into the environment, they're saying, is 100 times worse than what Chernobyl was. And so that means that Fukushima is actually going to encompass the whole entire planet. Whereas Chernobyl was more like in the Russian area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a little more research, and there's radiation maps where you can go on the internet and it tells you like specifically where you're located and what the radiation levels are in your area and everything. And so I kind of like had this mad idea to like buy as much as I could possibly afford at the time of kelp, because kelp is specific for the thyroids. And in fact,
which is a sea vegetable.
Which is a sea vegetable. And
seaweed.
Sea vegetables are extremely important for the human health. We don't put that in our diet, but they're superfoods, and they're super feeders, and they're super cleaners, and they're chelators, and they just get so much toxin and pollution out of our body. And so I started integrating that in my own health. And when I started my business, the first thing that I created was I call a super green. And I made it specifically for feeding and cleaning the body. So when people come to visit me, the first thing we think about is, okay, let's get you on a feeder and a cleaner. We've got to feed your body, and we've got to clean it at the same time. And so we got to keep your immune system up as high as we can while we're cleaning you, because there's so much in your environment we need to get out of that body of yours. And so I created a specific formula with kelp, and I have not been able to get that for 5 months. And I have a supplier. I have a really great supplier. They're a huge supplier. They're a little bit more expensive than a lot of other suppliers
of
herbs and sea vegetables, because they have a wonderful lab and they test everything. And about 60% of what comes into their lab gets denied, because they test it for pollutions and environmental toxins. And I try to buy as clean and as organic, because that's what I want in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want my clients to have that in their body.
Mm.
And so I have not been able to get it, and they discontinued kelp as one of their sellers. And when I have a really good relationship with my representative, and I said, so am I ever going to be able to get it? And she said, nope. And she said, I cannot talk about it. I cannot share this information with you, but I would not buy it from any other supplier. And so I thought about it, and I thought, oh my gosh.
You can't buy kelp from your supplier, and it's such an amazing and important
tool in our healing.
Plant in our healing.
Yeah.
Sea plant.
Yeah, and it really threw me back, and I thought to myself, I knew this was coming 2 years ago. I knew this. I read this 2 years ago. And I could go to Amazon, I could buy kelp right now, and I could buy it on the open market, and I could go to the grocery store. But
sure, you can buy kelp anywhere right now.
And I'm not trying to say, don't buy this product. I'm not trying to blackball this particular product, but for myself, once my supply runs out, I have to reshift my formulas without kelp, and it really breaks my heart, because it's an important piece of my formula.
Right.
But I'm not about to get it from a different supplier, and I'm not about to get it through Amazon or any other supplier, because I know the truth. And the truth is that kelp is cleaning our oceans. Our oceans are so sick right now that kelp is doing its job. It's a cleaner and a feeder, and it's cleaning our oceans.
How does it do that? So it filters the water through it or something?
Yeah, and it absorbs everything, and it keeps it in and absorbs it. And so, but unfortunately, even though it's cleaning and it's doing what it's supposed to do, it shouldn't be used for human consumption anymore.
Because it's taking in all the toxins.
It's taking in all the toxins. So when you eat that, then you're going to be eating toxins.
So you're eating radioactive materials.
Luckily, there are things that we can do for our thyroids other than kelp. It just really breaks my heart to understand that there's going to be a day when there's going to be more plant life that we cannot ingest, and that is going to be on the free open market.
Right.
And people are not going to have this information. And so people are going to go see, a different, maybe a naturopath or someone that's studying, alternative health, and they say, oh, well, you need to take this herb and this herb, and now go to the health food store and go buy it. And so, at least I know where my product is coming. I don't know if I feel comfortable going somewhere and trying to figure out what's wrong with me by what's on the shelves,
Right. Right, because you have the inside scoop. You've been studying plants, and you have a reputable supplier who has taken the product of the kelp off the market because they know it's not health. It's it's tainted because it's been cleaning the oceans, and the oceans are not clean, and they're
Right.
radioactive. And it's not only the ocean in the Pacific; it's also the Atlantic. It's all the.
It's
all,
every
it's
ocean.
everywhere.
It's every
even
ocean.
if, because I was worrying about it. I know a lot of people go to the Atlantic on the beach, and in the fall they collect seaweed. To a lot of people on the coast, they put it on their gardens for the winter as a fertilizer, which is, because it's so full of minerals in the salt water and so much good stuff in it. However, they're now going to be putting that on their soil, and it will be then going into their soil and contaminating their soil as well.
Right.
Is that what you're feeling?
Well, I am feeling that, and I have to say, I'm not here to be the bearer of bad news and to scare anyone. I'm just here to educate them that, this is what's going on in our environment, and it's not just the ocean. Our soil is contaminated as well. So the thing that I feel that I need to educate people the most is that we are living on a planet that we are slowly killing ourselves on. The planet will go on without us, but the plant species are no longer available. Some of them are becoming extinct. Some of them are becoming unedible, and then we have marine life that are very sick and becoming extinct and having tumors and cysts and things in it. But unfortunately, this is the world that we live in. So by empowering yourself with this knowledge, you can take steps to have a complete and healthy life.
What steps might you take if you were dependent upon kelp in the past? I know a lot of people, I know probably in most most of the co-ops and health food stores that have meals and soups, they put a lot of kelp in the soups and offer that.
I have to say that if I'm going to eat kelp and I make that conscious decision to have kelp in my diet, then I want to do something to clean my body as well. I want to do something to raise my immune system up so that my body can deal with it, because we are taking on toxins every day. Even if we eat foods that are from fast food restaurants, or we eat foods that we're just really not sure what the ingredients are, we're always taking our life in our own hands by ingesting these, because they cause some type of reaction to our bodies. Mm-hmm. And so we have to eat, we have to be human. And so yes, kelp is a lot cleaner than if you went and ate something that you have no idea what it's made out of. Mm-hmm. But then you have to really think about this. Okay, so I just ate something. Yes, it was really good for me. And so now what do I do to counteract that? What do I do? I like to use charcoal, and so I'll do for 2 weeks, I'll drink charcoal water for 2 weeks. And so charcoal is a cleaner and it's a binder, and so it flushes out all the chemicals and toxins out of the body through a process of elimination.
Wow.
So, detoxing is an important piece of what we need to do, because most of the people that are walking around with these incurable inflammation diseases that doctors don't know what to do, it's because they're so full of pesticides and chemicals and just toxins and
fertilizers
and everything that's just accumulated, and radiation, and just, bad energy from cell phones, and just all these different energy waves are constantly being thrown into our environment. So we're in an age now that we have to be aware of that, and we have to clean our body and care for our body. And so cilantro is another one I love to work with. Cilantro is a chelator and a binder. And so what it does is it grabs a whole of, mercury or whatever else that we have in our body, and it flushes it out through a process of elimination.
Wow.
So periodically throughout the year, do different types of detoxes. And they're very gentle detoxes. It's just, add them with water and drink them. Maybe you might not like the taste, but if you know that it's healing yourself, and that you're no longer suffering and you're no longer in pain, what is more important to you? Being healthy, cleaning out those organs,
right,
caring for this body, or just saying, I don't understand, and being sick? What's more important to you?
That's exactly right. And so, pardon me, empowering the self and caring for the self is really the bottom line here.
Right.
And really caring about this vehicle, this body that I am in. I'm in this body. You're all in your own body. And you, as I've said before on the show, you are your own caregiver, caretaker. And if you can't learn to take care of your body, then there's no point in even trying any of this stuff. But this whole point is for you to empower yourself to know that you can change your body, change your health, change your life by you paying attention, basically, and looking at what you're putting in your body, in the food, in the supplementation. And also, I've talked about this before, it's not only the food, but what are you watching on TV? What are you reading in the paper? What are you reading in books?
Right.
Where are you going physically, where there might be a lot of cell phone? I had a client came to me the other day that was concerned that she was having some balance issues, and it wasn't really, what's that one with the...
Vertigo?
Vertigo. It wasn't really vertigo, but she was thinking it was from cell phones. So many people on their cell phones all the time that she was really feeling, like, wow, she can't stand up. She's not, sort of like she was going to faint, but it wasn't exactly like that. And so we want to try and look at, just become aware of your environment and aware of where you are and what you're doing. And the basic thing, what we're talking about today, is what are you putting in your body as far as food is concerned, because food is the fuel, and it's the health. It's the basis of your health. It's really the basis of whatever's going on in your body, the physiology of your body. And and we're talking about mostly inflammation today, because that is the basis of pretty much all disease, pardon, which also is connected with stress. Stress also, maybe, I don't know if you want to talk about that a little, Rosalene.
Yeah, one of the things that, it's hard to, well, I was going to say, sometimes it's hard to remember that we are a whole being.
A whole being.
We are so much more than just a physicalness. When people come to me, my mind is like, okay, physical body, because this is when people walk to me into my door, some of them can barely walk. And so I just think, okay, what are we going to do to fix this body? And so then I have to try to remember, okay, there's more going on here than this physical body. There's a spiritual being in this vehicle. And there's something going on with this spiritual being that's more than just outside the body. So yes, it does complement each other. What's going on with you in your career? What's going on in your family life? Where are you spiritually on your journey? And so that plays a big piece of, but sometimes I have to really kind of like, okay, Rosalene, there's more going on than just this physical thing going on in their body. There's a person here, and we've got to figure this out. So I'm more than just an herbalist in some ways, because this is a spiritual person, and they're on a journey, and whatever this gift is that they have, that's to teach them so that they can pay it forward, and they can heal themselves. Mm-hmm. And they can, and further their life. Because when you start healing yourself, that's when you start healing the earth. Because if I choose not to eat something from a fast food restaurant, every person that makes that conscious effort puts them out of business. And so that helps the earth in a way. I mean, that helps when you care for yourself.
Boycotting in a way, but boycotting by becoming healthier.
Yeah, you become healthier, the earth becomes healthier, because the earth is not having to give up its natural resources as much. Mm-hmm. And you're not feeding, these big industries that are unconsciously or consciously destroying our environment.
Right. So one thought that just came to mind was as you were talking, is about how much intuition plays a role in what you do with your clients. And I look at everything that comes into my life as a message for me, like a bird flying by, or something that stops and makes me pay attention to it. I kind of realize that it's a big message. And so I'm looking at when people come into your office, what kind of you must get a first impression about their gift, which is the illness that they're working with, but also the greater picture of where we're going as a human race, as far as like Fukushima and bigger, mm-hmm. like the whole Earth catastrophe things that are happening. What's the message the Earth is trying to bring to us, or what is the bigger overlighting message in all of this that maybe we can learn from? And also as our consciousness expands and grows, maybe it's preparing us to really move into another dimension and leave the physical dimension. What is your take on all that?
Well, I actually have been thinking about this a lot lately, because we are moving into a different dimension. And so people are actually naturally gifted with empathy. And it's part of being human. And people don't realize that we are given specific gifts, but we all have the ability to be empathic to each other, to understand each other's feelings and to relate to each other. But we've been so disconnected in so many different ways. And so People just totally lose that, and so I empower them and teach them that what you're feeling is quite normal. Now I have to say that I have started working a lot with the younger generation and people 16, 17, 22, 29, just like within that whole range, and these children are clearly empathic. I mean, I believe that their generation is even more consciously empathic than my generation. I think that by the decades that have passed, people are, as the decades go on, the younger generations are getting more and more open to consciousness awareness. And so I recently read a book about how as it's our human nature to be empathic, and so when we're little children, we spin ourselves on the lawn, and even though it makes us sick, it puts us in a different consciousness, and we continue to do it because we love that. And so as you get older, mommy and daddy's having a drink, so I want to try a drink because it put them in a different consciousness. And then now we have this generation of children that are so over medicated and seek out drugs, and the crime rate is just unreal, and we're hearing all these bad things going on. And I look at these kids and go, they're indigo children. These are children that are so empathic and so spiritually awake compared to my generation, and they have no teachers, and so they're seeking. They're taking a drug to find God, and they want God intoxication is what they want, and because the whole life purpose is about finding your path to God, because eventually these bones are going to go into the soil,
Yes.
and so when you come to end of life, that's the whole point is we get closer in one with our God. And so these children immediately, like, so in tune. I have children that tell me, oh, I have visions, and nobody understands me, and they put me on antidepressants. And I look at them, and they're like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They just open right up to me. And because I don't look at them like there's something wrong with them, I'm going to put you on a prescription. I look at them like, yes, this is okay. This is okay that you feel this way. I understand that you're addicted to these visions. I understand they're taking these drugs for these visions, but that's not how we are supposed to bring life together. That's, you're taking the quick intoxication, and it's turning you into somebody that you're not meant to be. You're meant to be our teachers. You're meant to be our healers that are supposed to help our generation fix what we've left behind for you. And so I believe the younger generations are part of this conscious shift. They're supposed to help us save our planet and bring this feminine quality into our earth and our environment and teach us to love one another again. But unfortunately, there's so much available to them, and there's no teachers, that they're running to drugs. And so we're kind of like, we're in this duality right now between good and evil.
Right.
And I look at it totally different, like, we need more teachers, we need more healers, we need people to guide this younger generation, help them get off drugs, help the older generation get off drugs.
Right.
And start caring for ourselves and caring for our earth, and allow this conscious shift to happen, because if we ignore it, then we're going to be left behind, and we're not going to make it into the conscious shift. People are going to end up passing on because they're not, I don't want to hear, I don't want to know kind of thing. Because people say to me, well, we all have to die. And it's like, of course we do. I don't have a fear of death. I have a fear of life. The fear of life, I might not be able to enjoy myself. I have to work hard my whole life. When I go to retire, I want to have fun and play like I was a teenager. I have earned that right.
Right. I have too. And I agree that the children, the young people here are really, really, I think they're rallying and doing what we did back in the 60s, is the peace marches and the marching for the earth and for the environment. And I know I see that in my nephews, in one of my nephews anyway, that's 18, that he wants to really make a difference in the world and change the world and bring to light these injustices that are being made every day. So what can we do about that? And part of taking care of ourselves is really what we can do about it. It is the only thing we can do about it, really, is because taking care of yourself changes your vibration, changes your attitude, and opens you up to then be a vehicle for change and a vehicle for empathy, because you become more empathic as you clean out. Another thing that happens when you clean all the toxins out of your body and you clean the inflammation, you heal that inflammation.
Right.
It opens you up to who you truly are, which is an empathic, spiritual being.
Right.
Where intuition flows freely into your life.
Right.
And so there's a lot we can do just taking care of ourselves.
Yes, and other people follow. They follow by our examples.
They do.
And they attract to us for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We were talking about that on the way down, too, as certain clients come to us that are really mirrors for us to show us what we need to look at in our own lives many times. And I look back at the clients that I've had in my life, and I realize, wow, or actually when they come into my healing space and I do the intake interview, lots of times I'll think to myself, wow, I better check this out in my own body or check this out in my own life, because usually when people come into our lives, it's a mirroring process. And that's how I came to be in the healing modalities anyway. It was a mirroring thing that happened at my workplace, at my accounting job. So that's a big piece for me, is instead of looking at someone outside you that, oh, I don't like that person, when you realize that they're hitting your buttons, and wow, that's a little wake-up call. Maybe pay attention. Well, there's something about them that you don't like. What in you has that quality that you don't want to look at?
Right.
That happens to me all the time.
Right.
And that's partly why clients come to me, because it's my opportunity to look at those things that are going on with me that I don't realize, but a client will bring it in and show it to me.
Right. And sometimes those people, like I have to say, working in the industries, there are some really mean people that you have to work with that are very angry and unhappy with their own life. And so they push it out and forward into other people's lives. And so I recently read a quote that said, you should think that as a gift as well, because even though they caused you a lot of emotional suffering, they taught you something. They taught you something very important about who you are.
Absolutely.
And you should have compassion and feel like, and send prayers to them that, I'm really sorry you're in this space. I hope you find healing as well, because every human being deserves healing.
I absolutely agree.
So,
yeah.
We're all brothers and sisters.
We are. We're brothers and sisters on this earth walk, and the earth is our mother, the mother of all of us. I truly believe that. And if we can, and as I become more intimate with that and help myself heal and, mirror out to you or mirror out to my clients, help my clients learn about themselves and empower themselves. That's a big thing for me, is self-empowering and helping clients, which is what you do too, Rosalene, is you empower your clients to take control. You take control of your life, take control of what you're eating. Just do a little at a time, but as you take control of what you're eating, you'll feel better.
Right.
And it's amazing. It's totally amazing the way life can change.
And it's a hard road. Healing is really a hard road. And I'm always there for the people that need me to, like, even if they want to call in and just talk or stop in and talk or whatever, because healing is really difficult. I mean, working with people that have been on drugs that are very addicting physically and emotionally, if they choose that they want to get off those drugs, I always say, with the aid of your doctor, let them know what you're working towards. And the emotional piece, just the thought of getting them off the drugs is very difficult. Just the thought. And
it can be.
It can be.
Yeah, because like you said, it becomes people's identity, their illness.
Right.
So as we're kind of winding down the last couple minutes here, is there anything you'd like to bring up that we didn't get to touch on, just to say a little bit about? We have like the last minute now.
I think I said quite a bit. Everything that I touched on, I really wanted to, just make it into people's awareness that our environment is changing, our bodies are changing, people's consciousness is changing, and so we, as human species, are changing, and to keep up with those times and to care for yourselves and love each other and love yourself, importantly, and love your earth, because that's what life is all about, is love and healing.
Absolutely. And that's what all the religions of the world, all the spiritual teachings of the world tell us, that everything is about love. That's what all Jesus and Muhammad and Allah and I don't know, all the other spiritual teachers, the Dalai Lama. Love is all there is. And so love is all there is. And that brings up a lot of songs in my mind, because whenever I say phrases, all these old 70s and 80s songs come in, but I can't. Love is all around, but I am not going to go there right now. So thanks for joining us today, talking with Rosalene Bussiere about her Many Words Herbs, her herbal practice, therapeutic practice, and aromatherapy you work with as well. She's in Berlin, Vermont, if you want to get a hold of her. It's manywordsherbs.weebly.com.
Weebly.
Weebly. One.com. Many words herbs one.weebly.com. Or you can get in touch with me, which is my number, and my internet is on the screen. And if you want to see any of the past shows from New Earth Lifestyles, I do have a New Earth Lifestyles YouTube channel. You can always go there and check out past shows. If you know of anyone that wants to see Rosalene, she'll be on the next 3 Saturday morning. Let's see, Saturday morning at 10, Monday night at 5, and Tuesday morning at 10. The show will re-air. And, or as I said, you can go onto my YouTube channel and see past shows. So, thank you so much, Rosalene.
You're welcome.
For being with me today and all the amazing information that you brought here to share with us. And until next time, until next week, have a safe Halloween tomorrow and a great All Souls Day on Saturday. And be well, and remember, your heart knows the way.